So some of you may not know this, but running a YouTube channel isn't really my main job. I know, surprising, right? Yes, by internet I am tech rodent, but by day I am a game developer and I run my own game company that I started up with a friend. Recently, we've been really getting into Unreal Engine and the larger files, and his older system with its i5-3570, GTX 760 and 8GB of RAM is really proving to be a problem with constant hiccups, slowdowns and even crashes. So of course, he's looking to get his system upgraded, and I helped pick out some parts for him.
Replacing his older i5-3570 is the much newer Ryzen 5 1600 that should help him breeze through all of that Unity, Unreal Engine, and zipping and unzipping of files. 8GB isn't all that much by today's standards, so we're swapping him out with a 16GB DDR4 2666 kit of Corsair Vengeance. Now, storage-wise, he didn't really have the budget to go for an SSD, so he's just going with this 4TB Barracuda from Seagate. And we're swapping out his really weak sauce GTX 760 with something more respectable by today's standards, a 6GB Galax GTX 1060. Of course, since we're going with a new platform altogether, he'll need a new motherboard, and in the interest of saving cost, I picked out an ASRock AM4 B350 Pro 4 motherboard for him. It's a good no-frills motherboard that should get the job done. PCs can't really turn on without a power supply, and his older one isn't that good anymore, so we're replacing his Gigabyte Odin GT with this new Superflower 550W LEDX Gold power supply. You may have noticed that many parts in the system is going for more black and white look, and you'd be correct. His new case follows this color matching as well, the Inwin 101 mid tower with tempered glass. Quite a looker of a case. Now, he did tell me that he wanted to get into a little bit of overclocking, and the Wraith stock cooler that we got with the 1600 isn't going to cut it. So I looked online and found this guy, the Sama Glacier 240mm liquid cooling loop. It's definitely not a household name, but from the reviews that I read of it from a few Chinese websites, it seemed like a really competent cooler, and one of the cheapest ones too at 49 odd US dollars. So this video is part review as well, as we'll be checking out how well this liquid cooler performs. As such, this is also a TFTE video and the first part of 3 of me looking at budget AIOs from China. Sama doesn't list how much water the pump block is rated to move, but they did mention that it has a copper base, ceramic bearings, and operates at speeds of about 3500 RPM. The pump block itself has a soft white LED glow, though I can't really say I liked how they achieved this. They used a bit of foam in between the front plastic and the LEDs to act as a diffuser, and yes, while it is effective, it does come off as a bit cheap, though I am being unfair to it. This cooler was really cheap, price-wise. The tubes are of 32 cm in length and no sleeved tubes here, but the rubber seems solid enough. If the name of the AIO didn't give it away already, it's got a 240mm radiator with thickness of 27mm, which is par for the course by now. The cooler comes with 220mm static pressure optimized fans that have blue LEDs in them. Specs-wise, they're hydraulic bearing with a range of 800 to 2000 RPM, do a maximum of 88.3 CFM of airflow, and has a max static pressure of 2.2mm H2O at a maximum of 25 decibels. They've got a 9 translucent blue blade design, and of course have rubber dampeners on all 4 corners to reduce any vibration noise. Speaking of noise, let's test and see how loud they get, starting with the CPU block outside of the system. Not too bad, right? What about the fans though? Honestly, the slightly higher pitch whining of the fan's operation were quite audible, making it hard to ignore their existence, so that's just a bit disappointing. Noise, however, can be forgiven if they push enough air, so let's see how they perform. I recently got myself an anemometer for these kinds of tests, and I take 4 readings, 2 with the fan by itself at low and full power, and another on the other side of the radiator at low and full power to see how much air the fans are actually able to push through, effectively testing their static pressure. Without any obstructions, these Sama fans were able to do very decent numbers at 4.5 meters per second full power and 2.7 meters per second on low, but once mounted on a radiator, that number reduced to just 2.4 meters per second on full power and a measly 1.3 meters per second on low, making them competent on full power but not so on idle times. Coupled with noise levels, I'm not too particularly impressed with them. So now that we've done all testing prior to installation, let's get to putting it together. I didn't need to be able to read a single bit of Chinese to really understand how to install this cooler, as Sama includes a small little piece of paper that has English on it with a pretty detailed guide on how to install it. As far as installation goes, I had a bit of difficulty with threading the block onto the mount, not only because the cables were just a bit stiff making it difficult, but because the rear plating kept getting pushed off, needing me to keep readjusting it. Other thing to keep in mind is because of the location of the exhaust and the length of the tubing, I had not much other choice but to install the pump block with the text upside down. Not a deal breaker for sure, but just a mini pet peeve if you're looking for perfection. After booting up the system for the first time, as usual with all my AM4 systems so far, the first thing I do is update the BIOS to the latest revision. This is of course because newer BIOS revisions are usually more stable and have fixes that increase compatibility and performance. After installing Windows in the system, I took a baseline temperature reading, then overclocked the system to 3.9 GHz at 1.35 volts, took readings again and compared them to stock results that I got before, and these are the results of that finding. As you can tell, compared to the stock cooling, the Sama Glacier 240 did incredibly well, idling at 23 Celsius and peaking at 60.63 Celsius on the Prime 95 compared to the stock cooler that hit all the way up to 90, then shut itself down due to thermal safety limits. Pretty good numbers given the price of this cooler, though unfortunately still not a match for my personal combo of the 6-year-old Thermotake Performer 2.0 paired with 2 Nidec Gentle Typhoons in push-pull. Alright, so that's pretty much it for this system build-up/review. The Glacier 240 from Sama proved to be a very competent cooler despite the asking price, though if you're using stock fans, you're going to have to put up with slightly higher than average noise levels in my opinion. Still, if you're looking to get the most out of your money while not really hitting any major form of compromise, it does it quite well. Shortcomings include the slightly iffy mounting system, overly stiff and short tubes, and honestly noisier than I'd like fans. But temperature wise, it doesn't disappoint. For that, if you're looking for a no-frills AIO, it's not the best, and assuming you can find it, once installed it certainly does its job really well, so it's definitely a worthwhile option. As far as the overall system goes, I think that my mate won't be having any more troubles with multitasking, gaming and productivity alike. Given the price spikes that happened right after he bought this system as well, I think he jumped in at a very good time. Plus side, I think that the color scheme here looks pretty darn good, adhering to the white and black theme with glows of blue around the place.
That's it for this one. I hope you guys liked this review and build-up combo. Drop a comment down below on any questions or comments. Give it a like if you liked it. Click subscribe if you haven't already for more similar content. And don't forget to hit the bell icon to get notified for when new videos go live. I also want to say a big thank you for helping me reach over 1,000 subscribers. I think it's up to 1,500 by now, and yes, I know it's not much, but for someone like me who just does this out of his spare time for fun, it really does mean a lot to me. My name is Yang, aka Tech Rodent, and Friday marks the first day of Chinese New Year, so for those who celebrate, 恭喜发财. And for those who don't, have a good one, and I'll catch you guys later.